This is like a DC Comics storyline. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that Superman's dead and 5 other Supermen have shown up. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Justin, and we are back with another episode of Gundam seed. Before anything else though, we have some comments from the YouTubes from the episode Payback. High Priest says, Kira is 16 and Flay is 15. It actually caused some controversy when this originally aired in Japan, since Flay is just under the legal age.
No, it's 1 year. So, this is the difference. The reason I say that. Are you saying that if you start dating somebody in high school, you have to break up with them if there's a 1 year difference the moment you go to college?
The problem I feel is, one, it's more of an extreme because the legal age in Japan is so much younger than what we consider to be the legal age. So it's already kind of a weird thing. Okay, not to ignore your question, but I am going to.
Of course.
But I recently watched this girl breaking down the first few seasons of Unsolved Mysteries. You're familiar with that show?
Heard of it, but not super familiar.
Oh, well, it's the thing that terrorized most kids back in the day by the theme song alone. But, yeah, you know, basically a show about, hey, you remember that murder where the guy got away? Let us tell you all about it so you can have that rattling around in your head as a nightmare of the night. That sort of thing. Well, one of the stories was literally about a guy who sees a ghost in the house. And then as a tangential thing to that sort of thing, it's when he got his 16-year-old wife moving in with him. And it's like, wait a second, let's not go over this. Turns out the guy was 19, 16-year-old wife. I don't know what era the show took place in, because it could have been like 1920s or something, for all I know. But the idea about it, and then she just glosses over a little bit as though it's not that bad. And then later on, when she's dealing with like the problematic stuff that came out of Unsolved Mysteries, like blackface and everything like that, she talks about a 20-year-old with a 16-year-old wife, and she is like railing against the guy for having basically a child wife and everything like that. And it's like, wait a second, you gave the 19-year-old a pass, but the 20-year-old, that's fucking too much. And it's like, years, man. Years are weird when people regard these things.
It's when at certain ages, I get it's a fine line and all of that. However, if we look at it, if we're judging that harshly on a 1 year age difference between a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old, there should be lobbying against every couple that has more than a 7-year age gap. I don't care how old they are, because if you technically look at it, it's impossible for them to be in the same school system unless one of them is real smart or real dumb.
That's fair. That's
so
fair.
if we as a people are going to lobby against a 1 to 2 year age difference in young people, then we better start going against every couple with massive age gaps, or every 20-year-old person who is with a 40-year-old for their money. We better start judging them too. This is all I'm saying.
When I was 18,
we have to equally prosecute.
When I was 18, I was dating a 40-year-old woman that I moved in with for like 2 years.
See?
So, I know what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. My point of view on this matter is just a little bit fucked. So I'm just saying.
And like that, so that's why I'm saying this is why whatever. I don't judge it that harshly. It's a 1 year age difference.
I don't know. I think the difference is that I was already considered an adult at the time, and obviously she was an adult more so than
teenagers.
me. No, I'm saying that it's both falling under the age. I have heard a lot of arguments. I can't even remember why or about what, but the idea is that they're children. They're teenagers, but by the eyes of the law, they're children. They're not
Fantastic.
legally allowed to make these decisions. Well, I guess also in Japan, though, one of them was an adult and the other is legally a child.
Okay, by the eyes of the law, everybody who jaywalks or litters should get fined.
Yeah, well, technically they should.
Every single person.
Yes.
This is what I'm saying. If we're going to be this harsh on something that is normally you would never care about, if you saw a young couple.
The problem is you're saying normally you wouldn't care about. Obviously, some people care. Some people really care.
It's people who have way too much time on their hands.
Or parents.
No, it's not even.
You don't know their parent. Well, obviously, I'm sorry, I forgot for the fact that we're talking about made-up characters. I'm gonna say their characters.
Because if we're talking about parents, it's the same parents where there's a good chance the husband and wife have a 10-year age gap. Because that's the generation that they come from. So that makes them hypocrites.
You can be a hypocrite and still be right.
But not in that circumstance, unless it was clearly
just a side point here. I don't care for the whole just because you did the wrong thing doesn't mean you can't be right about what the right thing is.
Of course.
Yeah, you can be a fuck up and do a bad thing. But I think like that should make you like the mouthpiece for what the right thing is. Don't do what I did. I'm a fuck up. This is what we should be doing.
But the moment that you're literally, so let's say, right? Me in person are 12 and 13, right? The age when you first start liking people, and we're like, we're gonna be boyfriend and girlfriend, blah blah, hold hands. No one bats an eyelash. We hang out a little bit, we hold hands, nothing more, right? Are you telling me that the moment I get to a certain age, I have to break up with my partner for a couple of years to then get back with them just because of this?
I want to redirect this conversation because I don't feel like we're going somewhere good. I want to say that possibly that the only problem here might be just the sexualization of a minor, in that she is underage technically. She's 15-year-olds and she's being, oh, let me put my boobs out all the time to imply that I'm having sex with Kira. And it's not so much the relationship, it's more so that we're drawing her in this way and implying that she's 15 to an audience that's probably over 18.
That I will agree with.
I'm saying that the commenter is pointing out that the audience had a problem with this, and it might not be from the way that we're talking about it here. We might just be having an argument about a different thing.
Well, it is relevant.
Not actually an argument either.
I think it also falls more to the political side, which is something preferred to avoid, but it kind of came up.
I don't think that's a political issue.
Agree to disagree.
I don't know who's making it a political issue.
Not something I will talk about on camera.
Might be the definition of the word political that we're also maybe having a debate about. When I say political, I mean that the politician is going to have a podium about it. Not so much, I don't know.
Not quite, but I get where you're coming from.
Right.
Either way.
Or a right versus left thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next comment. Zero Hera, obviously from the same episode.
Yep.
Fighting insurgencies is always going to be complicated and morally questionable. Waltfield knew the town was partially connected to the resistance and he needs to reduce their ability to operate, which means destroying their supplies. Weapons and ammunition, sure, but food and shelter, particularly in this environment, become a necessity for the rebels. If the town is known to supply them either, then that makes it a logical target. Of course, sparing the civilians leaves them with the choice to either surrender or become part of the rebels. So it does eventually reduce the moral quandary. The rebels, however, were foolish. Sure, Zaft was low on ammunition and with a small force, but they know the Bokus, I guess those are the dog ones,
Yep.
are a force multiplier. Rather than taking their time, maybe help the civilians pick up their lives elsewhere, they went straight for a revenge strike and got obliterated by a force that, one, hadn't killed any civilians intentionally, and two, would probably have ignored them, recognizing that the rebels were probably heading to help the civilians they left homeless. Of course, no military officers would let his unit get attacked without fighting back, and we saw the result. The strike was literally the only reason the force had any survivors. Making informed and cool-headed decisions is the only way they can ever hope to actually make a difference when fighting an enemy with superior weapons and support.
Wholeheartedly agree.
I'm pretty sure I know that I said basically not the same thing, but I've said that this was dumb.
I know for a fact. I remember for a fact that we distinctly agree with this idea of like recover.
Well, I mean, it was one of the reasons why we liked Waltfeld. Like, you had a problem
Yep.
before, because I think you had a misunderstanding before we got into the episode proper about his giving a warning. But then they made it explicitly clear in a conversation in the next episode how many steps were being taken to ensure that no civilians were killed.
Yes. So my because this is something I do distinctly remember. My whole thing was the idea of the amount of time it would take to evacuate and the amount of time that they gave.
Plus, also the fact that you're leaving a bunch of people possibly to starve to death in the middle of a desert, or, as not asphyxiate, and they're not taking away their oxygen. Dehydrate.
Yes.
I remember we had the conversation. I just don't remember what words were said, or
Indeed.
so long ago. All right. How about you remind us of what happened last time?
Oh, last time we had a continuation of the battle over the station on, I want to say a planet or an asteroid. I think it was an asteroid.
I'm sorry. Just we had a battle over something.
There was a
Land was
continuation
involved.
of a battle over some sort of thing with mass.
You mean the colony?
I know it was a colony, but what was the colony on? That's the question.
Space?
No, it was built. The colony was built into either a planet or an asteroid.
If
I
it was
remember
built into
this.
a planet, there's only one in the area because it's Earth. And no. Also, it was not built into an asteroid either.
Okay.
It was
Either
literally
way.
just a
Oh
free-floating
yeah,
colony.
because it was unfinished.
Yeah, it's just a colony. It's like, also, it doesn't
Okay.
look like any of the plants, the zaft colonies, in that those are
True.
like weird two conical shapes put together. This thing was just a sci-fi colony. It's just like a thing.
It was more closer to like what we saw in Origins.
No, you haven't seen Wing. I would say it looks like a colony from Wing. It looks like a really stiff open umbrella almost.
Yeah.
And it's just got a really wide open end and there's like a tube coming out the back of it.
Indeed. Then we jump cut to inside the colony where we have Kira, Rao, and LaFlaga.
Missing one. Two. Sorry, you're missing two. They're both in Zaft, if that helps.
Athrin.
Sorry, one is former Zaft. And the other is still in Zaft. But they're both wearing Zaft uniforms.
Well, in
Atherin
that
didn't
case,
go
if I'm
into colony,
missing one,
remember?
we're gonna see if I hit it.
One starts with a Y, one starts with a D.
Oh, he has a Kandirka.
Yeah.
But those two aren't inside it. They're on the ground. They're gonna resolve their stuff, hopefully.
Technically inside. But Atherin stayed outside, remember, because Kira tells him to.
Yeah. Then on the inside, after Rao shoots Laflaga, it basically turns into, I'm going to show you something super secret you shouldn't see. And we find out that Flay is also on her way there with whatever key this thing is.
Technically, that's on the next time on, so it's not actually happening
We'll find
yet.
out.
And we don't actually know where Flay's going. We just know that we saw her in a spacesuit. Also, I don't remember if you mentioned that before Laflaga gets shot, he also gets, like, impaled by a thing when when I guess the strike gets destroyed, or mostly
I want to say.
damaged. Yeah. So he's already bleeding from a wound here, and then he gets shot through, like,
he already
shoulder.
ain't doing too hot.
And then Laflaga says, "I'm not trying to kill you." However, previously in the episode, he also says, "I'd be fine if you killed me here, but you're not gonna."
Mm-hmm. And that's it.
All right, then. Well, of course, I've written down a number of thoughts, and I guess I apologize ahead of time. These are 2 a.m. thoughts, so some of them are probably bad.
Theta's thoughts after dark.
No, that's when I'm doing something else. All right. Having your commanding officer come on the bridge with a civilian who is in a major political position, but is also effectively known to be the Grand Wizard of the KKK, and expect you to treat them with respect, has got to be the biggest sign that you might be on the wrong side of things. Blue Cosmos being legitimized by the military is so odd, but I guess it holds a mirror to, like, post-Civil War America. Obviously, if other countries have just as equal and valid analogies, I'm not aware of them. I'm sure they do, though. Humanity is fucking evil sometimes. We know Patrick is aiming for genocide, and I don't talk about that much. Maybe because it just feels more out of the blue. Blue Cosmos, it's an irony in names. We knew he was a warmonger, but the whole killing all naturals angle just comes out of nowhere after a few statements about coordinator supremacy earlier in the season. And to be fair, coordinators are superior. So, not for nothing, oddly racist statements that are factual slip under the radar easier. Versus Blue Cosmos, which was painted as a hate group from the very first mention, and we get to see irrational hate so much more from that side of the fence.
Yes. Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, the people who say the coordinators are supermen, because they basically are, they have super strength, super hearing, super vision. They can apparently process information faster as per seeing the programming stuff. They are supermen. They are the superior race. So hearing that all the time just doesn't come off as racism a lot of times, because it's just like, okay, you're just saying true things. But the impetus of it is racism. So
that's also a very delicate topic, because, again, there's so many things that fall under that technically count our racism.
Yeah, well,
because it's technically any time that someone is judged, discriminated against, or treated differently based off the color of their skin or any sort of thing like
things.
that.
It's the good racial stereotypes are still stereotypes, right? Like, all Asians are good at math. Well, technically not true, but also that's still being racist to Asians. Like,
exactly.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, though. But the fact that it comes off as good makes you not think about it. If I say something terrible about somebody based on their race, and then I also say something good, you're probably going to respond more to the bad thing I said. So, Blue Cosmos being a fucking hate group that is openly like that, it's easier to, like, fucking Blue Cosmos, how the fuck are you gonna bring the leader of Blue Cosmos on here and be like backing him up versus Patrick, who is just like pro coordinator as like the coordinators on the next race, and it's like, well, yeah, kind of. It makes sense. You just don't think about it as much. And then his whole "we're gonna kill all naturals" just comes out of the fucking blue, and you're like, oh yeah, wait. Now if I put all this coordinator stuff together, that makes sense.
Well, it's not even. I'm trying to think of a historical example that isn't the obvious one.
Well, I mean, I already regretted the instant I said, "Oh, Grand Wizard of the KKK," because I made the example real, and I'm like, no, I should probably keep this into a character narrative.
Oh no! So the the obvious one is the example that will never be forgotten based off World Wars. But there's so many leaders that up until the point where they flip, everything they say it sounds perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's one point where you hear it and it's got that little twinge and you're like, oh no, that didn't I don't like that. That didn't sound.
All right, moving on from that comment. Every time zaft people have mentioned the L4 colony group, they always say suspicious people when talking about who they had to deal with. Just an odd note for never giving specific information while having the same specific tagline for them. Archangel's conversation says it was scrapped before the war because it was a biological hazard and referenced something called the Mendel accident. The name of the colony is Mendel, by the way.
Got it. Um, the ending of the episode definitely plays into the idea of biological.
Yeah, it's just the fact that zaft only refers to suspicious people of being there with no further information, but the Archangel crew, which I guess has Earth Alliance information, references more shit. It's also just weird, I guess, the fact that zaft is in space. You think they know all the space shit going on, but it's the
That
Earth people.
that makes me think that there is an Earth Alliance connection.
Maybe. I mean, they are on the moon. I don't know if it's just lingering dislike for Kira, but I have less of a problem with Athrun and Kigali being a thing than I do with Kira and Lacus. Athrun and Kigali's floating hug was cute, and for me, gave me flashbacks to Witch from Mercury's emotional scene with a similar animation. Just to get you into the loop here. There's a whole scene where the main character in Witch from Mercury thinks that her friends don't like her anymore because it's kind of like it's a school sort of thing.
Yeah.
Her friends don't like her anymore, and she's calling her mom to who's on the station that she's at. She just arrived, and she's crying in a bathroom, just like, I've made a mistake. I thought I was in a good place. I'm not in a good place. I just want to go home.
Yeah.
And essentially her girlfriend on the other side of the door hears her and knocks, and she hangs up on her mom, and she just sees her staring at her when the door opens and then immediately pushes the button to close the door again. And she pries her up, and they get into like a little fight. They running down the hallway after each other. One of them feigns being weaker than they actually are to make the other one turn around and come back, and that's when she launches into a hug real quick, and they have a whole conversation of, if you have a problem, talk to me. Don't just leave. I'm gonna need you to clean my room from now on. It's a whole thing, but it's very cute, and it's like a payoff to a whole emotional stretch of just being that awkward girl who can't talk to people.
Yeah.
And that's what I got played off there when he hugs Kigali, and Kigali's like, ah. There's also a callback, obviously, to when Kigali hugged Kira.
Correct. So I
Hold
know
on,
that.
no. Not done
Yep.
with the sentence. Not done with the statement. I just wanted to clarify which Mercury for you.
Perfect. No. Love it.
I guess I also just don't like the fact that Lacus went out of her way to pick up Kira and then tell him all this information that she didn't tell Athrun, then kind of used the fact that Athrun acted a certain way due to his lack of thinking the way that she wanted him to, despite not telling him about it like she did with Kira, to then bail on him.
I see the reasons why she did not tell Athrun because of who his father was.
Oh, cool. We'll just run a little rebellion on our own, but not tell my fiancé, even though I'm willing to orchestrate an entire rebellion.
Oh, I'm not saying it's the correct choice by any means.
I just think it doesn't make any logical sense. I'm already orchestrating rebellion. I'm already in the process of telling people secret shit who might turn on me. Because we're pulling an Operation Valkyrie here. I've got to, like, every person I tell could be the death of me.
That might be the case, but you're not. Those people
aren't Hitler's son.
Exactly.
Hey, but if you're Hitler's son's fiance, right?
No, because you can separate the son and the father,
but not the Holy Ghost.
Beautiful. But what you cannot separate is the consequence of that information slipping to the top of the food chain.
Except that then she had enough faith in him to dress up in her full outfit, go into a opera, sit on stage, and then have a conversation where she thought he wasn't going to shoot her. So it's like, where is the line?
That's not faith. No, to me that makes sense because that's faith in Athrun. You never know.
What are we talking about?
In a world of technology, what level of monitoring is on any person.
You mean in this world where we already talk about everything openly out loud anywhere?
Let alone the son of the leader. That's what. So it's not a slight against Athrun, even though it feels that way. What it is it's a precaution against his father.
How much time do you think has passed since God, I'm remembering his name, George's Flay's dad, Siegel. Since Siegel was not the leader and Patrick took over to now?
I do not know.
Because I cannot believe that this whole rebellion has been formed in like the last couple of months. I feel like it had to have been longer than that. Because they got people in places and supplies and shit ready all like in an instant.
Well, there's also a good chance that George did not trust.
You mean Siegel?
Yes, there's a good chance that Siegel did not trust Athrun's father and saw something coming, just didn't know when.
Right.
So he was putting in plans so he wasn't leaving those close to him in a horrible position.
The impetus of my question is, so she could have told Athrun anything when Siegel, her dad, was in charge.
No, because if Siegel sees the threat, you still can't go to the son of the threat.
You love that boy. Why do you not tell the boy you love information, but tell his best friend that you then hook up with?
That I also don't agree with. However,
that's what I'm saying. It's why I don't like it.
You cannot tell the boy.
If you don't have faith in him, then why did you stand in front of him when he had a gun pointed at you?
It's not a lack of faith in him. It's a lack of faith in the surrounding.
They talk about everything in the wide open. She hid in a theater that had her face painted all over it.
Yes, but that theater, it was not built for her. That theater is a performance venue that she was just the last person who performed at, and they didn't take the posters down yet.
And didn't think to look for her at.
Of
Look,
course, because
I
she
already
doesn't own the theater.
I already made the whole commentary about the lackluster work that the intelligence services of the zaft are doing. That their whole plan was, well, just follow Atherin. He'll get there eventually. Let's not do any real work. It's a surprise that hell as they found Siegel at all.
But no, it's as simple as the fact of that theater is not owned by Lacus. It's not like a Klein family theater. It's a big ass stadium.
You
Just because
go,
she performed there
to the
doesn't
last
no.
places that the person you're looking for have ever gone to. It's just
And we didn't get a
searching
timeline.
101.
And we didn't get a timeline of when she was last there.
It's not a big problem to poke your head into the places and check them.
And there's a good chance that they did. She wasn't there and then happened to go there later.
I mean, that's probable, as much as I'd like to be flippant about it. But the idea is, you're like, we don't know what the monitoring technology is of the future. Because we're worried about just having conversations with people. Meanwhile, Lacus is just wandering around the city, full dress outfit. You might surprise you, but I'm going to bring up another show you've probably never heard of called Macross.
What?
The problem, there's a problem in Macross called vampires. They're not actually vampires. They're like aliens that suck your, like, spiritua, they call it. But it's basically your spiritua is just an energy source. It can cause you to go so depressed you go into a coma.
Okay.
They do that, but the thing is that my problem has always been the vampires just walking around the street. Like, they all wear the same outfit. There's like 100 of them or something. They all wear like a big old red trench coat. They've got the same hairstyle. They wear the same 90s, 80s glasses. They've got this giant metal face mask thing. Just walking down the street. Nobody does anything. Even after we've seen them, the cops know what they look like. The mayor's assistant fought one. We know what they look like just walking down the street. There's not no APB or anything on these guys. And there is a short, one of those 2-minute kind of things like we did with Furin.
Yep.
About like the police force, and the police force is fighting for you and everything like that. Macross 7 police, whatever. And I'm like, this is propaganda. I think the police force got into the first fight with the bad guys, because they have mecha and everything too. They got into a first fight with the bad guys, got fucking wiped out. Like, there's maybe 5 cops left on the force. And they're like, let's make a propaganda video so people still think we're out there. Because there's also, there's a whole Die Hard episode with one of the characters. And in the little propaganda, I'm saying it's propaganda video, they're like, we handled it! And there's, more cops in the video on the scene than there actually were in the episode. It's like, they're lying. That's the only reason I can think these vampires just walking around and no one's doing anything.
So on that idea, it could also be a case of if she's this much of an idol, you might not be able to go after her in public.
I would agree with you if not for the fact that we saw 3 episodes, I think, that she keeps hiding in building to building, doing these radio broadcasts. So that implies that she is Anne Franking it?
Absolutely.
All right. I don't know if it's just... Well, I'm about to read the same comment all over again. Lingering dislike for Kira, but... This is why I delete the comments, otherwise I'm going to be stupid. We'll be here 5-10 minutes rereading. The screens with the New Earth pilots on them, more copy and paste news articles about gene therapy companies from 2003. Batgirl's voiceover, however, says that Krot has stage 3 enhancement implants. They also say a biological CPU for X370. And we know that the Raider Gundam is GAT-X370 from the Earth Forces meeting many episodes back that Sutherland was a part of. Orga is only stage 2, but also a biological CPU for the X131, aka the Calamity Gundam.
Okay.
Shunai, I don't know how to say that one, it's Shani. Shunai is stage 4, and the biological CPU for the X252, aka the Forbidden Gundam. She also mentions that they are treated like equipment and not pilots. I have to wonder what the stages mean. On one hand, I like to think that they are how extensive the implants are, but not to make this personal, hearing the word stage as a cancer patient and the fact that I keep seeing these guys in pain makes me wonder if more has to do with how bad off they are as a result of having this done to them. I'd suspect that if I went back to watch their battles, if the order of them succumbing to their pain was Shanai, Krot, and then Orga, then I'd feel vindicated. Also, I think this makes them non-coordinators to my previous theory. They don't seem to be genetically enhanced, just implanted with stuff. Kira says that they don't seem to be naturals, but I don't think that automatically makes them coordinators.
So, I think it is possible for all of what was said to be true at the same time. One, they are not coordinators, but technically not naturals. They are augmented to various degrees, but the consequences of said augmentation are also the equivalent of stages of certain medical illnesses. It's like the idea in the film Logan of why do you look like shit? Well, my bones are poisoning me. Spoiler if you haven't seen a many years old film.
Or Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes, and not as much of a spoiler for that.
The very beginning of the movie? I mean, I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I have.
Okay, well, yeah, the very beginning of the movie.
True, but yeah. So I think it's possible for everything stated to be factual, and based off what I think we're going to get this coming episode, which is a level of explanation on the genetic experimentation that we're sort of seeing tubes for. It is not far-fetched to have mechanical and biological implants into people to try and level the playing field, and there being side effects, but them just being like, well, you're test subjects. We're going to use you.
Well, I don't know if we're test subjects. It's the fact that the guy who's in control of them is Blue Cosmos, who is already anti-coordinator, and if he sees you to be like not coordinators, but like still something akin to not being natural, he might just hate you as a necessary evil.
Exactly.
Is it possible that Rao is working with Azrael? I mean, we know he named dropped Azrael before. Then the fact that Azrael knows the movements of the ships Rao is on somehow and has insider info on Zaft's side. But the thing I'm actually focusing on is the fact that Rao has to take drugs and his connection to having the same feel as our new Gundam pilots. Is it possible that Rao is the same as them, just an early version, and using his enhanced abilities from that to be able to fake being a coordinator? Could Flay constantly be regarding those pills because she knows what they are? As per my previous theory, that she was being evacuated from Alaska because her as of yet unseen family connections make her valuable, or that she lied in the past about having Blue Cosmos allegiances. That Rao isn't holding her hostage, but is actually on the same side as her and is actually keeping her safe. Like, if he hadn't taken her from Alaska base, she would have died. If he didn't keep her under watch in Zaft, she'd be taken as a prisoner by someone else. That sort of thing. I know I hit you with like 3 different concepts.
Yeah, but it's fine because they match up. I think it's possible. If anything, I think it's that Flay has familial connections, but not like an active, but like she was trying to get away from it.
again, it's still the element of why does she keep seeing her dad in Rao? And then that whole thing Rao said last episode about like a father and the son thing. It's like, what is going on? I think I've pinpointed it, though, with the Rao Asriel thing. I think Rao is a plant. Ironically, I'm not saying he is a space base, of which zaft has the plants. I'm saying he is.
Yeah.
I'm saying that Blue Cosmos made a coordinator or a coordinator equivalent and sent him into zaft, and that's Rao. And now Rao is working to take down zaft.
Yes, but I also think it's possible that Rao is making it look like he's working to take down zaft.
Yes, the triple bluff.
I think it's very much possible.
But let me put this to you. What if Rao is trying to take down zaft, but at the same time making it look like he's trying to take down zaft so that Asriel thinks that he's on his side by feeding him information, while at the same time working with Patrick to take down Asriel? The quadruple bluff.
I think that's very much possible.
But at the same time working with Waltfield, who is himself bluffing to Patrick while working with Lacus.
While bluffing the Lacus?
Yes, the spider web just keeps going.
And if the sky is only blue because of the reflection of the ocean, does that mean that we are all colorblind?
No, it's actually just the reflection of Venus off the swamp gas.
That was fun.
All right, I only have one more real thought and one more just a note that didn't actually go anywhere.
Okay.
As just another theory regarding Rao, what if he is a coordinator, but in the same vein that we think about Kira, that he was an early experiment on the Mendel colony, and much the same way Kira is a coordinator and Kigali is not, Rao is a coordinator and Laflaga is not, because that's how the experiments work. I mean, maybe they were trying to solve the problem with coordinator birth rates dropping off and made a way to create new coordinators, but the byproduct was a natural as well. Would be fittingly poetic in a show like this, implying that we are made together and that the least we could do is live together. Either way, would go some ways to try and explain the fact that Rao and Laflaga get animated instantly, knowing one another is in the area.
There's something about the instant realization.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In that Laflaga is supposed to be a natural, so why is he getting something?
I don't know.
But also Kigali and Kira don't get that, so maybe that's the flaw in that argument. But again, the idea that Kira and Kigali are twins, but Kigali is a natural and Kira is a coordinator, that if there's something going on between Laflaga and Rao, Rao is a coordinator, Laflaga is a natural, kind of mirrors that, and they're both adults versus Kira and Kigali, which are both kids.
Or they are both coordinators to some degree.
I feel like if we were going to reveal that we would reveal like this episode that Laflaga has some sort of coordinator-like abilities, and then like season 2, Kigali can show like a coordinator ability, like, ha, it is 1-for-1.
I think that is once we get an explanation for why, it'll enlighten things more, but there has to be something different. Because he's also the best pilot.
Rao or Laflaga?
Well, Laflaga?
I mean, also, no, Kira is the best pilot.
But like, other than Kira.
Athrun.
I'm talking non-coordinators on their side. Who
is the best non-coordinator? I mean, technically, Durka. Well, no, Durka did get the Buster destroyed at one point. So I'm leaning back to the fact that Laflaga did get the Strike destroyed. Yazik?
So if you take
Rao
if
got
you
his ass kicked.
if you take coordinators out of the picture,
Oh yeah, sorry. I went right back to the coordinators again with the answer.
and that's the thing. If you take coordinators out of the picture, it's very clear that they can't. Everyone else cannot touch him as a pilot.
What are you talking about? Early scenes of LaFlaga and his little fighter jet with all the little pods with guns on them. He got his ass kicked many times. You don't remember the many times he had to come crashing back into the ship and had nothing he could fly back out with, and he was out of the fight?
But that's when they were dealing with coordinators.
Right, but if our argument is that he's equal to a coordinator because
No,
of
no, no,
his
no. So
genetics or something,
I'm not saying he's equal to a coordinator.
well, then the problem is we don't have any fights that were like natural
Give
be
it.
natural.
Hold on. Give me a second. What I am saying is, what if there is some degree of genetic modification, but it's minute enough that it's not picked up on? What if he has just that little edge that puts him over as part of like a trying to find the middle ground between coordinators and naturals?
I think that would be bad. I do not think you would want to do that in the show because LaFlaga's skill is kind of what makes him good, and then to take that away from him just makes him nothing really.
Because that doesn't take away his skill. Because you can say that they both have that.
Well, if you're saying that he has the genetic edge, but so minutely you wouldn't be able to tell, versus, well, how can we tell what's his genetic edge and what is his skill? Is he just reacting a little bit faster, or is those reflexes due to his training? Right? We wouldn't be able to tell at that point. It would be introducing an element that would be unmeasurable, and it would only serve to introduce doubt into how good LaFlaga actually is.
It's possible, or it could be used to give an explanation as to the point of continuing the story, as to then, if this is something that we have empirical proof of being possible, that we can have coordinators and naturals meet in the middle somehow.
It feels like, at best, this is like the homeopathy of coordinator creation, right? We watered down the genetic benefits of being a coordinator so much that you almost probably can't even tell. Is he really good at studying, or is he a coordinator?
But
At
that's
that
evolution
point,
for you.
that's reverse evolution. We've created the Superman, but then we watered him down so people would stop being racist. It's like, what?
Other Gundam shows have shown this is the ideal. Now let's now let's produce the cheaper
What other
version.
Gundam shows are you referring to?
In UC, in what we've been watching, they're using the worst version of
I
of the
use UC
suits.
as the example in the other direction, well, regarding the people, that Giran is not a Superman. Giran has no genetic enhancements or anything. He's just a guy who lives in space, saying, living in space made us better. To no proof,
So I'm
by the
not
way.
talking about the people. I'm talking about the suits. These are the way the suits should be made. Too expensive.
When
Now
did you
we're
switch
using
to the
these,
suits?
now
We've been
they
talking
blow
about
up.
genetics this whole time.
But I'm sad. So it's as an example of showing technology reaching a certain point. That's too expensive. Let's pull it back a little bit.
Okay, I can see where you're going. It's just a weird switch in the narrative of this conversation that I didn't hear coming. Sure, lowest contractor gets the bid, but I don't do that with people. Also, again, I think the only benefit of your narrative on this is that if we improve people, but only very slightly, people won't be racist because they can't figure out. Like, it's to, God, what was the leader of the SS called?
I do not know.
He set the tone, not the tone. He set the restrictions on what it meant to be Aryan, to the point where you're like, how much of your bloodline is Aryan and whatnot, and to the point where he did not qualify himself.
Yeah.
And, they do that Nazi mental gymnastics thing to make yourself fit into a thing that you don't yourself fit into because you're a fucking Nazi. That you start just tending the bloodlines a little bit with your genetic modification to the point where you can't tell anymore. Is he a little bit better? At which point does it even fucking matter anymore? You're not
And
even a
that's a valid
coordinator
question.
at that point. I'm just saying, I don't see the point of that. Like I said, I thought mine was a bit more poetic in that to create a coordinator and this coordinators can't have kids anymore. Point that we're at. To create more coordinators to keep the coordinator race going, you have to then make a natural as well, that they come out as twins or something like that. I thought that was a bit more poetic because it means unless you're willing to fucking kill your twin at birth, or you're fucking to do that to jump evil, if it were,
Yeah.
that it implies that we're made to be together, coordinators and naturals. I felt that was a bit more poetic.
So I think I do agree that it is more poetic. However, from everything I've seen in this story, I don't think we're going to get a poetic ending.
Well, I think it's more so the fact that there's a second season and then a movie that we don't answer the question here at the vet.
It's not even that. I think it's going to be the case where I could 100% see it ending as well, that's war.
What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Copyright.
Yeah.
Say it again. Anyway. Yeah, the only other last thing I had was that the sign on the lab that Rao takes them to is BL4 plus Human Gene Manipulation Lab, which I could also understand to mean basement level 4 plus. So,
Which is pretty damn deep.
yeah. Otherwise, it's just Human Gene Manipulation Lab. I wrote it down hoping that there was going to be something else from the scene, but it was basically the end of the episode, so I think we all understood by that point that it was a human gene manipulation lab.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all my thoughts. You have anything else you want to wrap up on before
No.
we get into it?
No.
Let's go ahead and hop on into it.
Let's do it.
そういうからには今引けば次は勝てるんでしょうね。
ここで戦死されたいので。バリアント
I didn't write this note out, but well, I'll wait till the credits.
ディアッカ
Uh-huh.
本当に貴様なのか。
ああ、そうさ。
それがなぜストライクと共にい
Then
る。
you're a traitor.
どういうことだ、貴様。
Indeed.
君まで来てくれるとは嬉しい限りだ、キラヤマト君。さあ遠慮せず北前、始まりの場所へ。キラ君、君にとっても
Where it all began before the war, remember? Because this place was abandoned before the war.
なんだ
Although the suspicious people they kicked out after the war started.
ムーザ
Oh, if only you were a higher percentage genetically modified.
親父。
君も知りたいだろう。人の悪なき欲望の果て、進歩の名のもとに狂気の夢を追った愚か者たちの話を。君もまたその息子なのだからな。
I'm sorry, were you talking to... Let's figure it out. Is he talking to LaFlaga or Kira? Because obviously Kira is...
No.
But obviously the implication that we've been following is that LaFlaga was the one he was talking to.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, what I was going to talk about before that I didn't make a note about was the fact that Ramius versus Bad Girl,
Yes.
Captain v Captain, is such an odd matchup. Obviously, it's an emotional matchup, but it's the fact that every battle, it's been Bad Girl who's been in charge of the bridge, telling everybody who to fire, what to target, do all the tactics, etc. Where Ramius only butts in when it's like a pressing decision-making moment.
Correct.
So, obviously, Bad Girl should win any fight that they're in. The only thing Batgirl doesn't have is a trained crew, and she's already drilling them on simulations to get their times up. Or down, rather, down.
It might be one of those things where Ramius is just
Please argue for
natural
Ramius
at it?
after 30 episodes of shitting on her.
It's true. She might be more of a natural at it than Batgirl.
No,
Batgirl
Batgirl
just
is
might
the
be
natural.
more skilled.
Batgirl's the natural. Ramius had to learn to get into the role to the point where you were shitting on her from how badly she was.
Yes,
Ramius
but...
from episode 1 has been calling shots.
Oh, it's true. And that's training versus someone who's now having to step up and actually doing it. I don't know. We'll see.
君は知っているのかな今のご両親が君の本当の親ではないということ
Me or him?
Yeah. Which one?
Well, the problem is he threw out 2 pictures, one for Kira, and the other one was LaFlaga's dad.
Yeah.
アスランから名を聞いたときは思いもしなかったのだがな君が彼だとは
Oh.
てっきり死んだものだと思っていたよ
We're going back to Jesus Yamato again. Because he was the child. All he has to do now is use the word prophecy. Oh, never mind. He's the boy who lived.
It's true.
なぜかなそれでは私のようなものでもつい信じたくなってしまうじゃないか彼らの見た狂気の夢をね
Wow, you're sweating a lot.
Yep.
君は人類の夢最高のコーディネーター
What's Hathrin?
そんな願いのもとに開発された
Oh, that name sounds familiar for some reason.
それによって
Oh, never mind, I remember who that was.
彼の息子あまたの兄弟の犠牲の果てにね
Thank God everyone's so good at dodging bullets.
I know, right?
You know, I thought Rao was gonna have like a drug problem thing again. I guess maybe he's just sweating from exertion. But does that imply that Kira is genetically modified to be the ultimate coordinator, but Atherin just like got there on his own?
Maybe?
Bitch, I don't listen to you.
ならばなおのことです。これ以上迂闊に戦力は避けません。ドミニオンの攻撃もいつ再開されるかわからない。
Yeah, remember there's 3 zaft ships in the area, plus the Dominion.
たちが戻らなくても、私たちは戦わなくてはならないのですから。
Literally a 3-faction standoff.
True.
僕は僕の秘密を今明かそう。僕は人の自然そのままにナチュラルに生まれたものではない。
So I was right.
受精卵の段階で人為的な遺伝子操作を受けて生まれたもの。人類最初のコーディネーター、ジョージ・グレン。奴のもたらした混乱は、その後どこまでその闇を広げたと思う。あれから人は一体何を始めてしまったのか知ってい
Losing
る
their
のか。
fucking minds.
Yeah.
Or I guess the implication is they started trying to... Yeah. Gattaca, if you haven't seen Gattaca.
Blue eyes and blonde hair, they had to start there.
Yeah. This is like if Gattaca had a prequel.
母体は生身なんですし、それは当然胎児の生育状況にも影響します。
高い金を出して買った夢だ。誰だって叶えたい。誰だって壊したくはなかろう。
It sounds like they didn't understand how to do genetic manipulation and just fucking tried anyway.
Yep.
No wonder they have all those deformed fetuses.
それが夢と望まれて叶えるために。
3号機エマージェンシーです。くそ、
老化装置のパワーを上げろ。心拍数上昇、血圧200を超えます。
もうやめて。あれはものではない。命なのよ。
分かっている。
Well, we know where Kigali got her looks from.
命は生まれ移るものよ。
Yep.
作り出すものではないわ。
And I don't know where Kira got anything. Because he doesn't look like either of those people to me.
私の子だ。最高の技術で最高のコーディネーターとするんだ。
それは誰のため？あなたのため？
青き正常なる世界のために。
A hell of a thing to get shot out of your shoes. Oh, Jesus Christ, man.
Oh my gosh.
Even the musician coordinators are getting taken out.
Boom, 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 boom.
I can't remember us seeing so much blood on the screen before.
Just in rapid succession.
Problem here is we've already seen her holding her babies after they were born, so
yeah,
she makes it.
命を大事と言いながらもてあそび殺し合う。
コーディネーターのくせに慣れ慣れしくしないで。
奴らがいるから世界は混乱するのだ。我らはもはやナチュラルとは違う新たな一つの種なのです。お酒だ。
Again, the problem is he's not saying anything that's not true.
最高だな人は。
No, that's not true.
この作戦により戦争が早期終結に向かわんことを切に願う。真の自由と
I guess to be fair though,
正義が示されること。
in all this time, they've never like given us a hint that like Janus 7 was an inside job or something. It just seems like Earth fucking did it.
yeah.
Straight up, they did it.
そして妬み、憎み、殺し合うのさ。
I think that might just be a coincidence.
この犠牲により戦争が早期終結へ向かわんことを切に願う。青き正常なる世界のために。
You get it? Our blue appear world, blue cosmos.
何を貴様ごときが偉そうに。
私にはあるのだよ。この宇宙でただ一人。
Okay.
全ての人類を裁く権利がな。
ふざけるな。
Why?
クローンは違法です。法など変わる。所詮は人の定め。
Cloning.
しかし苦労の末手にした技術。
Are you is Rao the clone of George?
Think so.
That is.
まだ戦場で出会う前、一度だけ会ったことがある。なんだと？
本当にこれが私か。まあいい。ともかくあとはこれに継がせる。
Rao is the clone of the first coordinator. Wait, is Laflaga the son of George?
Laflaga is technically
He's
Rao's biological son?
No, he says. Oh, I don't know how that works. Maybe. That is. That is crazy. I don't know how to handle that one. Laflaga is a natural born of a coordinator. Is that true? 'Cause I didn't think that worked that way, but
No.
Laflaga is the son of George, and Rao is the clone of George. This is like a DC Comics storyline. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that Superman's dead, and 5 other Supermen have shown up.
Oh God.
I can't wait for a robot George.
Which one's played by Shaquille O'Neal?
Steel. Azrael, you've suddenly become the least interesting thing right now. Batgirl said, hey, the normal thing to do here is call for reinforcements.
Yeah.
Did you?
フリーダムのパイロット。あいつが前のストライクのパイロットさ。あいつもコーディネーターだ。アスランとはガキの頃からの友達だったよ。なんだと。俺には奴らほどの業も覚悟もねえけどさ。
I mean, yeah, to be fair, not everyone's willing to kill all naturals.
Yeah.
Winning the war and genocide are actually 2 different things.
True.
Oh,
that's right, yeah, you were at Panama. I was confused for a second.
今度失敗したらまた怒られる？
たくいいように使ってくれるよねあのおっさん。しょうがねえ。殺されるよりは殺そうがマシってね。
I mean, there's also the element of we haven't seen more of your ilk, so it's even unlikely that he'll be willing to kill you for failure. Even though the pain seems like a pretty bad thing already.
I can agree with that.
アデス艦長。くそ、隊長は内部はどうなってるんだ？
親父のクローンだと？そんなおとぎ話、誰が信じるか？
私も信じたくはないがな。だが残念なことに事実でね。
ドミニオンが来ます。
You'd figure he'd be higher up in the food chain if other people, or maybe other people don't know.
I'm guessing they don't know.
Everything I thought about him being connected to Azrael, though. The clone of the first coordinator working with Blue Cosmos.
Oh.
Cool, didn't get anything from that. This would be a shocking revelation. It was missed on me.
I think it confirms the eyes from like the earlier whatever, but
it's either that or it's supposed to be that we were supposed to see he looks exactly like Laflaga, but I'm face blind. He did have blue eyes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking maybe if the eyes were a different color, that would be like his whole I'm the flawed clone sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
How are you getting out, Rao? Your thing got fucking destroyed. Like, literally, they blew the arms, the head, and the legs off of it. This has been an amazing series of payoff episodes, I'll say that. Like,
Uh-huh. Also, if these Earth Forces guys are biological computers, does that make them learning computers?
meteor. What's a meteor? I don't know. I thought it's the same thing when I was writing down my notes. Was he wearing the mask the whole time? Just like people didn't think he was George? And if so, did people look at LaFlaga and say, that's George? Well, of course not. They know LaFlaga is the son. I guess? Although you think that would be fucking propaganda. The son of the first coordinator fights for Earth.
Well, if he's not a coordinator, right?
I'm confused. Oh, okay. I was saying they just carried him. It was the drug thing. Okay. What I thought. Backup masks.
エサリウス発進する。モビルスーツ隊出撃用意。ホイジンガーとヘルダーリンにも打電しろ。しかしこのまま見物してるわけにもいかんだろう。あの機体地球軍の手に渡すわけにはいかんのだからな。ですか。私も出る。士軍を用意させろ。すぐブリッジへ上がる。さて。 君にも手伝ってもらおう。
That was a shift.
扉が開くかどうかのね。
I want to think that those are just beta blockers.
Yeah.
I'm very much reminded of the cross. There's a Centrati guy in there who has to take beta blockers to prevent his rage from going. Try to have a natural desire to fight.
No, you're not gonna get it.
What if they did?
I'd be impressed.
I feel like we're supposed to be sympathetic for the three new guys because they're just like getting tortured all the fucking time. But I don't know if we're supposed to be sympathetic to the point where we want them to get a win.
Uh-huh.
Also, I'm sorry, Zaft, you're not going to get a win here. You're showing up with normal ships and normal mobile suits.
Correct.
At best, you've got the duel in Yazik. Oh, Asriel did not expect Ra was going to show up, even though he was here.
Yep.
Okay, so she didn't try to escape. Ra was sending her off.
Yeah.
それが地球軍の手に渡れば戦争は終わる。地球連合軍艦アークエ
What
ンジェ
could
ル
fucking do that?
戦闘を開始する前に本艦で交流中の捕虜を返還したい。
What is the
Okay.
play?
More like, what is the flay?
No. I don't know what possibly could be on that disc.
Information. No, I have no idea.
Yeah, because the fact that the birth of coordinators is a thing after George comes back is that whole beginning of the episode. It's public information, so it couldn't be that. Maybe information on what the ultimate coordinator is? No, that would only really help Zaft. I don't know how that would end the war. I just don't know what information could possibly... This is like when they do, like, Doctor Who. And, like, the British Prime Minister gets into a fight with the Doctor, and he's like, I could end your regime with 3 words. Sorry, 4 words. And he just... You're like, what 4 words could possibly end the regime? And he's like, leans over to his assistant. Doesn't she look tired? That was it. Ruined her regime with 4 words.
記憶それは今の自分を形作るもの時の中から与えられた道しるべ誰もが逃れ得ぬその中であるものは心を縛りまたあるものは流される放火を境に叫ぶ思いが真に欲するものは次回機動戦士ガンダムシード魂の場所
Well, whatever's on the disc, Asriel finds hilarious. But conceptually, I have no idea. Also, still not quite answered the whole why Flay gets dad vibes from Rao. Well, not dad vibes. The whole daddy thing again. Why she gets her... they're not playing that why did you say that name card, are you? That the name of the first coordinator and the name of her dad are both George? Couldn't be. This came out years before that. Many years before that. I have no idea why she sees her dad in, Rao.
Yeah, because I don't expect her dad to be another clone of George.
Also, because that would be shit on multiple levels, not least of which you named your clone George. George, you named your clone George. I don't know. I can't figure that one out. That's still a mystery that I'm hoping gets figured out in the next 4 episodes. Sorry, 5. I forgot we got 1 more after this in today's recording session, but then 4 more in the season.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of shit to unpack. Rao is the failed or defective clone of the first coordinator, and LaFlaga is the natural born? A natural born of George?
Yes.
I guess maybe his mother was a natural. And that George being the first coordinator doesn't have genes to pass on being a coordinator.
I could see that.
I'm just trying to... The thing that falls apart is why is LaFlaga a natural, and I guess that's just something we haven't really discussed in the show before. But I guess makes sense therein if George being the first coordinator just doesn't have the genes because he's specifically modified. And if the mother was a coordinator, because obviously he's the first coordinator, and we see all this backstory shit about people trying to figure out how to make more coordinators. If you're not actively trying to make a coordinator, you make a natural. I think that's got to be it.
I think that's definitely in the right direction.
So he has a natural kid, probably out of love, one of those storylines, and then he actively wants to make another coordinator, so he clones himself instead of trying to do the thing that everybody else is doing and fucking up. However, still fucks it up because Rao says I'm defective as a clone.
It could be a case where it's the reverse.
Yes, that Rao comes from the future, and the first coordinator George is actually a clone of him.
Sure, why not? No, it could be the idea of we can't have children because of reason X, aka coordinator infertile.
Well, we
So
know
I'm
that
gonna
only
clone
comes 3
myself.
generations. 3 generations in is when that happens. Remember, we get that from Patrick having a conversation with Siegel that 3rd generation coordinators are having a really hard time having kids.
Yes, but we could have easily have a situation where it's George thinks he's infertile because they've tried and it doesn't work.
Well, except that we have evidence that he's not.
I'm not, but like I'm saying that they tried for children and it for some reason didn't work.
So you're saying
He
Rao
cloned
came
himself.
first?
Yes.
Rao comes first,
He
and
cloned
then
himself.
he's so excited, he takes his
look,
wife to bed, and
I'm
9
pregnant.
months later we have LaFlaga. I don't know. No, that can't be the case, because I think we see LaFlaga is like 4 or 5 years old when he's looking down at Rao in the bed as a baby. So it's pretty clear that LaFlaga comes first.
Fair enough. No, that was a good episode.
Yeah, no, it was an amazing episode because it pays off a bunch of shit that doesn't involve Kira, which is great. I mean, obviously, that sounds like spite talk, but it's not. I mean, Kira doesn't need to be the center of everything. Like, one of my favorite Babylon 5 episodes starts with Walter Koenig, Captain Star Trek, who plays Bester in Babylon 5, walking through the halls of Psy-Corps on Earth, saying not everything revolves around Babylon 5, as much as they like to think it does. I just like it when the side characters get a moment to shine. I think there's the episode of TNG called Lower Decks, same thing.
This wasn't even just the side characters. Like, that was the main linchpin of it, but we still had that moment where it was like, yeah, it acknowledged Kira in a way that explains why he's so good.
Well, yeah, I mean, the ultimate coordinator. But I just mean, we explain Kira's thing by explaining shit that's way more important to all these other characters.
Correct.
I like it when Kira's importance is as a result of shit that's more important to other people, because it does what the show wants to do, in which it raises Kira up, because the show's constantly doing it. But I hate the episodes where it's just, I'm Kira, I'm a badass, you can't do a thing, Because those are just like faffing Kira off. I don't like that. But
yeah,
the world building of, well, this has done that, and we did this, and all these people suffered because of this, like the gunning people down the streets. We got that before with the George flashback episode about how badly coordinators were being treated.
Yeah.
So this is just the bloodier version of that. But it implies so much world building, so much history, that we can then infer led to Kira, but we don't have to see Kira be a badass 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Good episode. Would make
Agreed.
my top 5. Unless the next 4 episodes. No, even then. Even if the next 4 episodes are as good as this one, that still leaves 5 episodes. Sorry, I keep forgetting we got one more episode. So, the next 5 episodes.
Agreed.
Alright, any final thoughts?
No.
Really? So I was just shoot you right now, you be fine?
Yeah, I'd be pretty alright with it.
Alright, well, I mean, I know I'd have a lot of final thoughts. Anything else you want to say about the show, though?
No, I think I said it.
Alright. Well, once again, I have been Theta, this has been Justin, we've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?